How are you today?
Good. How you doing?
Go ahead and do whatever you have to do. It's fine. Work comes before fun.
Friday, or whatever. Alright, we're gonna have a fit. Yeah, go to the situation.
Go for about another 5 bars now, 5. They're riding the train.
because we will lose something come out of Cumbres. I know you can take it to the
So did you just go, so for your first day, you just went up and back, up and back?
Yeah. But we were, for that 1 year, we were dropping off.
My last year in September, we were setting out ties on the way back.
Yeah. We did that, I mean, we did the same, we done that twice.
But they wouldn't let us do it, they just, they had to wait till we did it.
Oh, when they were actually being dropped. Yeah, because we were doing it on. Yep.
I talked to Ed last year, and I was talking to Ed last year, he said, you know, one of the things we could do is if there's a bunch of guys who can get it before, you can actually take a tour.
I just got that.
Without the cover brakes, you don't need to drag the wheels on.
We'll just see that we,
kick around there a little bit and it'll dislodge it, and well, there was no such thing. It just would not come down, you know, like on the 4%, you don't go very far without coal. So, Jeff was of course running, you know, so he's freaking out, and then pretty soon we're stalled, and I just can't get it to come out, you know, and it's not like that easy because you can't just open the bunker doors or anything. So we had to like dig down from the top, and we checked from the bottom, you know, as a flashlight, and there was like this big area, and we're like, what the hell kind of big piece of coal is that? It's like this long, you know. So we had to dig down from the top, and all of a sudden we find like chains and track tools, and finally, like the culprit that plugged it all up was a big tractor battery. Come to find out, before they loaded the coal car, I guess the track crew had left some stuff in the bucket of the backhoe, and the guy that went over there and overlooked in the backhoe just got like a big scoop of coal and dumped it in the timber line. Hi Roger. How are you?
Mr. Hunter, I'm fine.
I'm already causing this.
I woke up, so it's a good day.
That's very true. Well, for you anyway.
No, I'm going to 87. I'll go see what they're doing.
Oh, okay.
All right. I need to know where it's set up.
I don't know.
Per normal, I need a favor. Oh, God. Well, it's for these guys, not me, because I don't give a shit.
Okay. I need to stay out of the picture.
Just before you take off here, center gauge, now gauge. Give me about 3 minutes. Give you extra 3 minutes, doesn't it? Okay. Try and get all the time. And I think we're in all the way too. Okay.
Are we using the perfect people?
No.
We were just in that time. But it looks like you don't look like that.
You got your a better lever for the cylinder cock. Cylinder cock's down low.
It's on the floor.
Yeah, on the floor. I don't know. The mountain throttle, I guess, is right here.
This is a cutout.
Cutout.
But for the drivers, for the engine drivers.
Right. So where's your mountain throttle?
Huh? Oh, the drifting throttle?
Drifting throttle. Unless that's right up here.
You'll just
Unless
have
that's
to
the red. Unless
Yeah,
it's
the red one's
the red lever.
Maybe the red lever is the drifting throttle.
got the same look anyway.
Sure.
Being able to measure and mold.
Unless like, when you make a new one, you think that it may be too short for it?
It's important. You can get off on a hurry.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, we're going to try. So we'll just kind of start back here with this engine, for example, of course, has like lifting injectors for like the 6 and 9 lifting injectors. That has like full boiler pressure, and if that valve were to fail, definitely ugly. We're trying to like flow the sediments down from like collect. This is like and that happens. And so the way to handle that is with some of the railroads that I've worked for, they actually say that you can only do the blowjob if your injector as well as your one. For me, that's kind of like the smartest way to do it. You just say that buys you a little time. If it gets stuck, you dump the tire. Here, for some reason, we don't do that. So, if it gets stuck here, you have to scramble to kind of like get the injector going, or both of them, preferably. And then, you know, immediately stop and dump the tire because the water is going to be gone like really, really fast. And so, you know, it changes from season to season. It's cold water, we put season in the back. Yeah. I don't know if they do a good job, to be honest.
On stationary boilers, they require you to have a blow valve in conjunction with the intake valve.
I see.
Well, what doesn't require you to do that?
Apparently not, because we don't have it.
Well, the reason
That may be a good idea.
is that, you know, since damn things get stuck open and then close to it,
Right.
that gives you a chance to save yourself.
For sure. And these are gate valves, and they're like rotating gate valves. So they're actually, you know, if you get like a big piece of, you know, yeah, crap from the boiler, like some piece of, what's it called? Thing of getting, yeah, you know, like into the valve, you know, so where you can't close anymore. That can cause it to get stuck. The other thing, like, you know, they've also like had it to where so the problem is, you know, when you open and close it, it's a hanging in the cab and you have to do it when you permit it, like you're gonna really pull on it and then push that it, you really kind of have to slam it. And I guess that's why, like in some instances, you know, if they don't change the systems, like people often the corrosion inside and they break off the compress. So it's a thing to be respectful of. This is the cross compound Westinghouse air compressor. It is steam operated. It has a governor. That little bracket up there with the twin powered. That's the governor. It regulates. It has a line that goes to the air reservoir, and it regulates the steam supply to the cross compound. The steam comes in through this line, does its work first in the high pressure zone, which has a large air cylinder, and then the exhaust from that goes over into the low pressure side, and now that it has a room, they have a smaller higher pressure air cylinder, that's why it's called cross compound, and then it goes into these cooling lines, the condensation lines, and then into the tank. This is the tank drain valve. Then once it goes through this tank, that's kind of like the wet tank if you would like talking it in a trucking type of way. Then it goes across the top, goes through another set of cooling coils, and then into the secondary reservoir, or auxiliary reservoir on the other side. And then, like I said, the governor just regulates the valve to the steam side. Now, whenever the compressor gets turned on in the morning, or if the engine was sitting like chained, and the air has bled down in the reservoirs, it's really important. The only thing that cushions that piston when it goes up and down is the air pressure that it creates. It's not like on a reciprocating engine where, you know, you have a flywheel and it kind of slows down and goes the other way. On this one, it just slams up and down. And the only reason it doesn't self-destruct is because as soon as you have air pressure on the other side, on the power stroke, you know, each way, it's double acting and it cushions itself from compressing the air. So it's crucial that when you start it in the morning, not only do you have to have the drain valves open, which are usually here, there's one for this side and one for this side. That's basically the same as, you know, your valves at the bottom of the cylinder of the locomotive. Right, so you have to just crack it open a tiny little bit, and then it just starts moving, and then wait till it fills up about, you know, 50, 60 psi on the air reservoir before you turn it on and on. Otherwise, it just
Well, we got another compressor problem on the 63.
So, then obviously this engine, just like the K36, it has Walshart's valve gear, which is all this stuff on the outside here. Basically the motion to operate the valves is taking up the main crank, which, you know, the main rod goes under this main crank. It's got like the eccentric crank or return crank mounted to the outside of it, and it's a quarter of a turn off from what the rest of the crank is. Well, and from the crank, you know, so like this thing is like trailing
main crank by 90 degrees. And that's also something that you can tell whether an engine has piston valve or slide valves, because if they're outside ignition, like the slide valves, this will be reading 90 degrees on the engine. If it's inside ignition, like a piston valve, then it's trailer like 90 degrees. So if you look at modern locomotives, like modern steam locomotives, they cheated and put a huge slide valve into their piston valve, and they didn't know that's all. Anyway, so from here, the motion goes over here to the link foot. This is called the link. It basically has a little block in it, the link block. And when you move, this is like the weight shaft that has this is called the motion bracket, this whole thing. This is the weight shaft. On the other side, we'll see that's where actually there's a little lever attached to that, and it goes through the Johnson bar. So when you move the Johnson bar back and forth, this kind of moves up and down. And as you can see right now, the engine is in a top dead center, or almost, which means that even if the engine will be moving right now, the link goes back and forth, but because this is almost centered on the pivot pin, there's no motion induced to the valve. And so then, you know, like in the upper quadrant is forward, and in the lower quadrant is reversed. So, I'm sorry, I said it backwards. Lower quadrant is forward, and upper quadrant is reversed.
And it's dropped all the way down.
Yeah, if it's dropped all the way down, it's in full gear forward. If it's all the way up, it's in full gear reverse.
So this determines the amount of cutoff as well.
Exactly. And that's kind of like on the ignition of the old cars on the steering wheel. Yeah. They used to have a timing lever so that, you know, when you would go faster, you could actually advance the timing. This is the same thing. You start like in full gear, but then as soon as the engine starts moving, you start notching it up, because in full gear, it only has it only reaches a limited RPM, like, because since you're filling the piston, or I mean the cylinder on each side of the piston completely with steam, all that steam has to be pushed out to get. Okay, you guys want to maybe like step back a little bit? Then we'll continue this on 87. What happened to this? This was this is to hold up the engine. For some reason they took it all off and anyway, we can continue on this one now. We're on. It brings the motion up here, and normally, you know, like if it was not critical, you could just attach this directly to the valve. But because they found out that the valve obviously works better if it's not a linear movement, they came up with the idea of taking a second motion so that the valve actually stays a little longer in its end position, you know, and moves faster in the middle rather than just going like a nice smooth back and forth. So that's what the combination lever is for. Like in addition to what it picks up that day, it picks up an additional motion from the crosser, and through this combination lever link, these pivot points, like, which is kind of hard to see, but the pivot points for the actual valve spin and the pivot points up here are about 3 inches apart, right? And so that movement kind of makes the valve stay in its end positions a little bit longer, versus, you know, so the lower at the end and faster in the middle. Yeah, it would kind of like, instead of going like this, right, it would go like this. So like it stays at the end of it, and that looks like just for valve opening time. Okay. Better use of the steam. Right. These are timing clocks. Exactly, these are timing clocks. What's that? This is like a crystal. Okay. This like two purposes, like when the engine like sits still like it does right now. This is just goes directly into the valve. And so if the throttle will be leaking a little bit or so, these kind of like lock from steam pressure. So when it falls down, it's open. This one obviously has a good throttle because it's not leaking. Some of them, you know, quite a bit of steam comes out. But it keeps the steam from building up and potentially like moving the locomotive without anybody wanted to. And if you go downhill or if you're coasting, if you shut the throttle off, this prevents the cylinder to become an air compressor. Yeah, because if it wasn't for that, then obviously if there's no steam coming in, you know, the piston would start to like pump air.
Sucking it in from
and actually sucking it into the exhaust, which is also not a good thing, because sometimes there's crap in there. So, now of course, we do have the capability of braking dynamically on these engines, like coming down the hill. We have what we call a drifting throttle. It's an additional valve in the cap that comes into this section right here. And you see it's a relatively small piece of pipe, like inch and a half, I believe. And it takes wet steam from the turret instead of superheated steam. And it's just a small ball valve, so you can't get too much pressure into it at one time, because even if you open it fully, it just doesn't put all that much steam in it. But what it does is, if you reverse the engine to come down the hill, which you have to do when you run it as a helper light, or if you have a heavy train, or not a heavy train, a light train.
Yeah. About half a tree. Yeah. Big tree. That's okay. If you look where the ends are, that tree is down. Yeah.
These are the starter guns for the injectors. Yep. This is like the overflow valve, also for the injector. In order to put water in it, you open this first, which is forward. Yep. You look outside, make sure like you have a good water flow. I can tell by listening to it that we're okay. Then you pull out. This has like, maybe not. Not yet. That's what I get for being cocky about it. So anyway, once we get a good flow of water out of the overflow, we'll pull back on this lever, and it's got kind of like two stages. There's like a first stage, and then it gets a little harder, and then there's a second stage.
You can hear it change.
Yeah, like if you hear steam like we just did, you might as well like just close it again, because it will never work after that. I mean, as far as without closing it. So, and make sure it's like all the way forward, because if it leaks a little bit, it gets hot and it won't work anymore either. So I'm gonna look this time. Okay, looks like it's okay, so we're gonna try again. This first stage you do kind of like a little slower. And see here is like the second stage. Yeah. So as long as you make it through the first stage, then you can pull all the way out, and if it still doesn't make a weird noise, then you slowly start closing the overflow. And if it sounds like that, we're good.
Sometimes what I find is sometimes I actually have to bang that with my hand.
Yeah,
like that, because I found that
if it doesn't close it completely, that's not correct. Yeah. Now, just as an example, what it does if it's like not right. We'll see if I can purposely screw it up. So if I pull out too fast, maybe.
Yeah, that didn't sound too smooth.
I wish you would work that good when you're on the hill and really eating, you know. But, let's see if I can screw it up on the overflow, maybe. Yeah. Then it starts flowing out. Over here.
You could
shut
feel
off.
it.
Yep, you shut that. And open this up again, because you didn't do it.
Boiling the water in the tender.
Well, that's what it does. See, it blows like steam back into the tender. If you do that long enough, it'll make the water so hot that it won't even really work anymore. And it sounds like, yeah, that can't happen, but the engine's so noisy going up the hill that it's easy not to hear that. So what you need to do is, once you think that it's all good, you still look outside real quick at the overflow, which is that little funnel on the bottom. And it should, like, some of them don't shut completely, like he was pointing out, but, you know, there shouldn't be any steam or water coming out of them. So that's the injector. There's one on each side. They work identical.
Yeah. This one's here and right there for the engineer side.
And this here, this big red valve is the blower. I'm sure you probably guys know what that's for. So this is the blower valve. This is the cab hose. So this little hose right here has two functions. First of all, like what I was doing earlier, you can clean the cap out a little bit. Because we want to try to keep it as clean as we can so that, you know, you don't trip when you shovel coal or so. The other reason for it is when we have the injector on and you don't want it to inject its full capacity, you can fine it down by this valve right here. That's also something you want to check. If you can't get it started, it's probably not all the way open. So when with the injector going, like the good time we had it going, you start shutting this down, and there's quite a bit that nothing happens, and then a lot of things happen right at the same time. If you go too far, it will shut the injector off, and it will do what we just did on purpose earlier. If you do it right, once you get to where it gets a little harder, I mean, you literally just want to, like, I generally use both my hands because it takes so little. And you have this valve on with the squirt hose, and when the injector is working at full blast, there's a solid stream comes out of here. Once you start finding it down, it starts making a cone of steam, and the wider the cone is, the less water the injector injects. So if it's just barely starting to flare a little bit, it's just fine down a little bit. If you have like a 90-degree cone and it's pretty much just steam, then that's pretty much all it's going to put into the boiler too. So when you go uphill, that is an additional thing. Instead of turning it on and off all the time, which risks that it won't turn back on, we fine it down if it starts, you know, gaining water a little bit. And it's sometimes hard to see for people in the beginning because the water level, of course, bounces. So you have to kind of take the average of what you're looking at. But that gives you an additional way of finding it down a little bit. So if it's gaining water going up the hill, you can do that. If it's losing water, then you have to occasionally tell the engineer to turn his side on, because if this one's already full blast. This here are your two water glasses. This is the main and the auxiliary. Both of them are like reflex water glasses, so you can actually see the water level, and you know, like if you look, can you see it from this side? You may want to look at it real quick. Yeah. See the water level right now? It's like steady, but in order to see it better, if you open this blow down valve a little bit, it bounces, and that's what we refer to as like bouncing the water glass. That also kind of tells you that it's not 100% sure, but it tells you 99% sure that your passages are open. Because if one of them's closed and you do this, then it won't bounce. Like it may go down and stay, and that's a really bad sign. Or, you know, like it may go up too high and won't come back down. So that's like definitely a sign of a problem. And you want both of them, you know, to work. So you just kind of bounce them for a moment and check them every so often. Yeah. Really important, obviously. This where's the little plate? There's a tag, or should be a tag, that shows where the crown sheet is. Maybe they lost it on this engine, but it's about in this vicinity. Like obviously this is a washout plug, and that's above the crown sheet already. So the crown sheet on this engine is right about there.
Yeah, pipe runs.
Right below these washout plugs, yeah. Yeah. So you can see, like, you don't have a whole lot to play with from the bottom of your water glass till your crown sheet becomes exposed. And
The other thing is,
Then you go boom.
when you go up and down, it changes.
right, and that's another thing. See, like, going uphill on the 4%, you kind of want the water about at the top of the F. Downhill on the 4%, you really don't want it any higher than this 5S, or, you know, the equivalent over here. Like, you want it to pretty much just be like an inch in the bottom of the glass. Anything above that, the engine can start working water. I mean, generally the first thing that you notice is the engineer tries to whistle for a grade crossing, and it just sputters. You get a nasty look from the right side of the cab. This is your main steam gauge. You know, it shows you the pressure. Our safety valves, we have 3 safety valves. The first one is set to open at 195. Now they vary a little bit, you know. Then 198, and then like 200. This is the the hydrostatic lubricator. This is a 3-bung one, because they used to use these for the cylinders as well. This engine has a mechanical lubricator, so we only use these because they have a better capacity. The single bullseye one just has a tiny little reservoir, so sometimes you have to refill it on the road, and that's kind of, some engineers are better at that than others, let's put it that way. You can generally tell what they look like when they get out of the cab, if they were successful or not. But I can be dangerous, you know, because it can really scald you as well. Over here, this is like the main water column. So you have like these tricops. This one, see right now, is that's water right there. I mean, that's steam. No, that's water too, sorry. They're kind of not very nicely positioned, so I try not to get you guys all squirted with them. But
It's almost a mixture.
yeah, no, I mean, this is clearly water. The steam looks very different, but you should check these at least once a day, because if something happens to the water glass, you know, that inside tube can explode, and you have to shut it off. It's kind of like the engineer, the fireman checks the water glasses, the engineer on the uphill at least checks like at least, you know, the second one or so, wherever he thinks that he's fine. Every so often, it kind of offends the fireman, but I don't care.
No, it's safe.
My ass can blow up too. This is the drifting throttle that I was telling you guys. That's just that small saturated steam line that you use.
Okay.
That when you put the engine in reverse, it puts counter pressure on it. So it's actually almost like trying to back up while going forward.
Yeah.
And
Steam brake.
yeah, it's kind of, yeah, it's a compression brake for sure.
In a sense of
It's not the same as a
transmission.
water brake, you know, like some engines used to use. Yeah. But it's similar in functions.
It's basically like an engine brake on a car, in a way.
Yeah, or on a truck, you know, like it's dynamic, a dynamic brake. This is the independent. This only runs to locomotive's drivers. And the tender, this is your automatic. Oh, and there's like, of course, 4 different positions. You got, this is release, this is full release, this is a slow application, and you can see like at the gauge, and then this is full application. Normally it would be in this position, but because we got it changed, the automatic has more positions than that. It has like full release, which you shouldn't really have to use at all. That's for like larger train pay. Well, no, it's to pump up larger trains, or after you make an application if you wanted to. No,
Yeah, you just leave it in that position to pump.
The cap roof. Sorry. So then this is run, the first notch that you know it stays in. This one's lap.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, engine hold. In this position, well, so if I set the engine brakes, which is the red hand on that gauge up there,
Yep.
should be about 45 psi if it's correct.
Yep.
If I release it, you can see it go back down. So whenever the engine like this extremely sluggish, it's probably like because the engine brakes are on. So always check that first. Now when it's set, and I put it in engine hold, which is this first position, I can, this is kind of disabled.
Yeah, okay.
So that's kind of how we park the engine. We put this in engine hold and this on, like at Osier or so, or if you get out of the cab.
Okay.
Because that will take 2 steps to release the brakes rather than just one.
Okay.
This next one is lap, which means absolutely nothing happens. Whatever you did before
It just
is
keeps
held.
it. It keeps it, right?
So
Yeah.
if the next position here is slow application. So if I go in that and then lap it out, whatever you reduced it, see, like, I'm going to release it again. See, it's normally at 90. So if I go into lap and I make like a 5-pound reduction and then lap it out, as long as it's in lap, it holds whatever you did previously.
Okay.
And then further on,
And
you got
it will actually still hold it when I go into engine hold. Now, depending on how good the distributing valve is, eventually it'll leak off. So you have to go all the way into release before it starts building it back up. And now, I guess because the tank pressure is down so far, it's not really working all
so
that
when you
well.
put it in full release, that's blowing the air out, and that'll.
Well, if you go in full release, it actually overcharges the line. See, normally,
Okay, so it adds
normally
pressure.
at 9, if I release it, it just goes up to 90.
So it adds pressure.
If I go in full release, it adds more air to the line.
Okay.
And on long trains, that's handy because it releases your brakes faster.
Yeah.
But on our engines and our trains, we really don't use that at all.
Okay.
Unless, you know, like somehow the brakes won't release and you want to try to do something weird.
Hopefully that won't happen.
Right. Then this is the sander valve. They used to be really fancy. Now it's just on and off for all of it. So it sands the front end back. So keep in mind, sanding is like, you know, a two-edged sword because it helps you get traction, but on the 4% you also put a bunch of like rough stuff on that rail. So the train that you're trying to pull is now harder to pull. So, you know, use it sparingly.
Okay.
This is the bell for the engineer side. This over here is the bell for the fireman side. You see the word, This is the whistle. I'm not going to blow it now because of the people. These are your headlight controls. There's like front and back and bright and dim.
So that with the bell cock, you can vary how fast or slow the bell rings.
Not really.
Not really.
We're just glad if it works
Okay.
for you.
But I mean, could
If
you?
it doesn't work, you know, you can also...
You have to do that.
No, you
Yeah.
really can't because the way it's
It's just
made,
a set
it's
pressure?
Just the on and off.
Okay, I figured it was a set pressure, but just thought I'd ask.
And then, you know, this is the throttle. And if you pull in the latch, some of them latch, some of them don't. They're very touchy. So
You really got to show some finesse.
you open it till it kind of like comes to where
Yeah,
you
I made that
want to
mistake
go.
once on a little saddle tanker back
Yeah.
in Nashville when it was
And then
there.
really like you open it till it kind of starts to feel, start to feel some resistance. And then you just bump it. You use the slack that it has in here, you know, to bump it a little bit. And if it like starts to run and whatever, if it goes too fast, you bump it back. If you start to make like actual movements,
And what
it's
about
gonna
wheel
be
slip?
rough.
Do we just push it back?
As far as,
Yeah, I mean,
as,
if
far
the
as
wheel-
I can tell, the difference between full on and full off is about
Yes,
that much.
that's
Yeah.
definitely. Keep that in mind. Just bump it, and I'll show you that. But anyway, yeah, if it starts slipping, immediately shut
Yeah,
it.
you just push it back there as fast as you possibly can.
This over here is called the mountain cock. It's a shut-off valve that cuts the drivers out of the brake system by themselves. That's used like when we bring a train down the hill. We got enough brakes on the train and on the tender that we don't need to put the wear and tear and the heat in the
Yeah.
drivers.
Yep.
So if you shut the drivers are released.
Okay.
And if it's in line, they're cut in.
Okay.
So down is cut out, up is cut in.
I see.
These two handles right here with the ring on it are the blow downs that we were talking about already. That little lever up there is the cylinder drain cocks. Forward is open, somewhere back is closed. So open's easy, closing's a little more difficult. You just have to find the position.
Yep, okay.
So
If you
even
just
if
pull it all the way back,
Yeah.
I guarantee you it's not going to be closed.
oh,
You pull it all the way back, it's not going to be closed?
that's
Right.
fun.
Oh, it's not. Like you have to
You have to find
like,
that right
the
spot.
right spot.
Okay.
All of them.
I'm
are
glad I'm a
pretty much
fireman
like
and
that.
not an engineer at this one.
And then this pedal right here is for the fire door. I got it. But when you fly, that's, you know, what you step on. You travel phone in. There's a shut-off valve for the fire door. Here, if for some reason, you know, something will bust or so, this little shut-off valve cuts out the fire door. This up here is the dynamo. This is the, I'm sorry, this is the air compressor. This is the dynamo. And that one, unfortunately, they're not all the same on all the engines. But, okay, this is like the blower shut-off. So these are the two that you need to know. You know, this one opens the dynamo.
Okay.
And then, like I said, the other one is for the compressor. The last two things, each one of the water glasses has a, no, not the water glasses, I'm sorry. The hydrostatic lubricator on both the feed and the supply line has a shut-off valve too. You would need those if you wanted to fill it, but in order not to kind of overload you guys with info, we can deal with that if we have to do it. But you need to know that if something goes wrong, this valve and this valve shuts down the mechanical lubricator, just in case, like, you know, something could start leaking. Right? And then this is the manual way to open the fire door.
I really want to do hard
This
work.
one is all the way open. No, but like when you're coasting down the hill and you got like too much of a fire, you can crack it as long as the engine's not pulling on it, and it won't pop off as much. See, like it's about to do it right now again. Okay. I think that's pretty much it.
All right.
These are the grates.
Yeah, these are the grates, and the shaker bar is back here, together with the scoop. This is the water gauge for the tender, how much water you got, like a dipstick on a car. And these are the shut-off valves for the tender water hoses to the injector, so if you bust the water hose.
Okay. All
I
right.
was asking about the hammer.
Yeah.
There it is.
The Barbie version.
Hey, I could dig my own grave with that. I'd be too fat to fit.
something like that. That way, because they'll be looking and spraying out, but he's not tapping. Go ahead and do it. This class here is the easiest one to see because you got more light really, you can see your water level. We're getting ready to pop out and we're letting the water run a little bit more. Right here. Try and grab the shovel, try a few scoops so you get feel for it. You don't need big scoops today. Just are you left or right-handed? Right-handed. Okay, turn this way. Turn around this way. Lean up against here. Break yourself there in time. Scoop a little bit. Turn. Step on the pedal. Let's see. Go like this. And here. Turn it. Now the constant by this little black that's higher than the gold. Turn the bell off now, we're good. I would speed up a little bit more. Sometimes it doesn't close by itself. So that has to stay up though. There you go. Fast back, you can try it because it's close like this. Even on the top, right now, everyone can touch it up on more. Go ahead and throw a few more in. Get to the feel for it. Like sumo. Right side of the left corner, we can just go in, turn to the left, go in, turn to the right, back in the corner.
Oh, we do a couple more of those?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, now try a couple at the very front. You just have to get in there and
Just throw it.
Throw it all the way up. Tight. It's about 8 feet up in there, so you really gotta. If you hit something like that, it falls out right there in the back. So you just gotta practice. Just take practice. Take your time and get the rhythm down. Oh, okay. Hey, let me show you for a second. Try a couple more. You know what a yard sign looks like? Yes. Like the blue arms. It's black. It's kind of hard to see, but see where the mouthful sticks, the white one on the left and the right. So it's that yard limit sign on the left as well. So it seems you can stop the engine sort of with the front and the left. That'd be good for a little bit. All right. So just like I was telling earlier, try to fire like a horseshoe. This is a horseshoe here. Fire the right side, and corners, big horseshoe. And then we'll fire some in the very front.
And if you got any bright spots in the middle, you'll hit the bright spots. Then you'll come back and do the horseshoe again. You just want to keep rotating your scoops and try to make each one count. If you all end up in the middle, every scoop it gets higher, 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 then we can't get cold in the front.
Can you see it now? It's right under that tree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You'll see it when we get
Something we don't want. Long over.
Yeah. And then after the light post about 100, 200 feet under the tree is
Let's start the injector so you can practice. Remember how to do that?
Also, you always like when you miss some of it. I'm sorry to talk to your business.
No, it's okay. That's what
It's
it's
like
for.
so you don't sprain your ankle. Like whenever you're done like doing a set, I always kind of clean at least the big lumps out of the way. Because sooner or later you step on it and you're like fall or sprain your ankle.
Or the ankle.
See it now? It's black, so it's hard to see. But it's a coach right under that tree. Yeah, with the
valve back,
wings,
just nice and
black
easy.
wings. Yeah. So this kind of stops at the end of that shadow, I guess that would be a back. Okay, very good. All the way. I don't know why they're black. Must be for the winter.
I wish winter was here.
Right, how hard?
Here running in. So each time we start to stop, you just crack the bell and try to remember to do that. And again, your responsibility is the left side of the locomotive and he can't see anything. So you got to watch that. You have the bell to run. It'll stop.
Are you an engineer as well?
I'm not. I'm a fireman.
Okay. Yeah, then. Are you guys ready to back up?
Ready when you are.
Or are you
We're good.
need a little time? Or?
No, we got. Okay, turn it off.
Let's open the cylinder cocks now. No. Like I said, the reason like down there where we stopped, we opened them was only because so that the next person can see how to close them.
You guys want to switch?
We really don't open them unless we like stop.
We don't need too much water and cold when we want to practice.
This is
So.
far back as it goes, or do I need to really get it back all the way?
It's a human.
All right.
I don't know why they don't get it to work better, but
Yeah, just so you got to raise
it's
Bell, make the bell, reverse.
and then now it's
Look on the side
downhill.
and watch your water flow before you do the
Before we're
speed.
going uphill, so really only not get it going, and then it's pretty much all back down.
Okay.
Okay, try that nice and easy. Then I pull the other one back. Nice and easy. And this one here, I forgot to tell you, like the back down line.
Maybe here you want to go real slow with it. You hear the water start picking up, jerk it back. Once it gets hot like that, it takes a while. So just yeah. So you just go with anything now. Just get that close.
Also, when
Get
you're
that
knocked
close.
up, the
You
joints
get
are going
it
up,
cut
the
yourself
wrench is like the
out. Okay, bell off. About a half a turn's all you need. Okay. Once you try that, see if you can get that technique down.
It's a little bit faster when you approach it.
Battery on my other is, I see it. I'm not too worried about that. We're not.
When we get closer to the crossing, you want to slow it down a little bit. You know, maybe do like 10, 20 pounds on it. You can play with it a little bit slower if you want to here. I think you guys play so much. Otherwise, you may slide the drivers. They're just like this. Do you want to rush into it? What I do is, if you want to slow it down a little bit, go ahead and speed it up and do that for you. Go ahead and let it go.
It's going to vary up and down. We'll have to run a little bit. See, our steam pressure's up there about 195. We're going to pop. Maybe put some more water in. We'll be able to go from down, but
So just wait till it gets below
By setting it at least you don't get it
Yeah, we can, unless we get that big hole. Yeah. Sort of like a bounce in that. You pump water, this comes down. Stop pumping water, it goes
Here
up.
it's spring loaded, so don't put in the spring loaded side. Okay. And if it breaks too hard, you can go to
So now you got a multi-cast, you got a crossing coming up, now you got to do the bell.
Go ahead and
And you got to watch the left side for cars, people, dogs, cats, elk, deer. It's your responsibility to watch the left side all the time while you're doing everything
So
else.
even though we're going back, we're still left.
Okay,
Yeah.
Let her go from left side.
There you go.
So right here after the crossing, the grade will
Good looking out there.
quite a bit.
Call out your crossing, call out switches, that way he knows you're looking and
Yeah, watch.
they're lined up.
When I did my countdown on my birthday,
I thought we had a upstream It's all down. Some of it,
Okay.
some of it, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you can see
I kind of have a little gist of how it goes.
So you can let it pick up a little more, and then when we get closer to the bridge, you know, like see if we can slow it down a little more now.
Yep.
Like go ahead and try. See how like you just kind of slow it down a little bit, and you just leave it in release. And if you need it again, you do the same thing there.
How you doing?
Okay.
I don't want to load up too much.
We got quite a bit. I want you guys to practice, and tomorrow we go out. We got no choice. We got to shovel. You know, we won't make it up the hill. So.
Slow it down a little bit more, just like you did before. Like don't even wait for anything to happen, you know, like if you can feel it, you already slow down so much, basically.
You never know. People could be.
Everything on the locomotive is
Yeah.
super delayed.
Might as well keep it on till we get it
A lot of people come up and stand right there and take pictures.
Yeah, I've
And
seen
then you
that.
wait.
How far down do I want the red
Usually they'll move.
go?
Yeah, usually.
So
One count on it.
basically what you do, you just
Where you from?
Because the lane way afterwards it starts to break. Right.
Yeah, there is
Do you understand about the horseshoe part? Yes, I do. The front end every once in a while, and the horseshoe, right spot,
The same
low
much for the
spot,
throttle.
you just sort of place it where you think it needs it. And if you get tired, you have to tell your partner. If he gets tired, you both have to need. Don't feel like you have to keep going. If you get tired, you get winded, you don't want people falling out. Well, the elevation's pretty high.
I know, I almost fell out just standing by the locomotive before.
Yeah.
Very
So
embarrassing.
only shovel what you can.